go again. Into the looking glass.
Innovating within the bounds of horror's familiar tropes and rules is a difficult task, but one that The Evil Within 2 handles with grace. Developer Tango Gameworks cleverly introduces old-school horror design within the confines of a semi-open world that ultimately makes for an engaging trip into a world of nightmares.
Lily! No!
You didn't save me!
Picking up several years after the first game, we find the former detective Sebastian Castellanos in dire straits, still racked with guilt over the loss of his family and haunted by his last visit into the STEM nightmare reality. When a shadowy organization gives him the chance to set things right with his past and rescue his daughter from the dangerous and unstable world of Union, he willingly re-enters the nightmare realm despite his residual trauma. As Sebastian wanders the many locations in Union, there's a general sense of déjà vu. Despite being one of the few survivors from the first game, oddly finds himself falling for the same tricks and setups that the world and its inhabitants lay out for him.
Shit.
While this could be chalked up as a simple retread, much of these instances make a point of illustrating some key differences from this game and the last. Feeling more like a sketch of a hardened and weary protagonist in the first game, Sebastian feels more realized and grounded in the sequel, giving a certain gravitas to his struggle.
But he got away. And he's got Lily. She must be so scared and alone. I've got to find her before he does something terrible to her.
Showing bewilderment and confusion throughout the first game, he's now more confident and determined, even throwing in some fitting one-liners at the right moments. The supporting cast of villains feel more active in the ongoing events and have a greater sense of place this time around, particularly with the eccentric serial killer artist who photographs his victims upon their death. While there's occasional moments of cheese and humor throughout, the levity never feels out of place, which is an accomplishment considering the game's pervasive macabre atmosphere. There are a few notable sections where backtracking is required, which slows the pacing and sense of progression to a crawl. Despite this, the exploration is consistently enjoyable and interesting, showing a clear respect for the Evil Within's world. The many nods to the original game feel more impactful for it, giving a sense of renewed appreciation for Sebastian's previous adventure. Putting a greater emphasis on the survival aspect of survival horror, The Evil Within 2 places large attention to resource management and braving the dangers in a relatively spacious world. While common enemies are in fewer numbers compared to the original game, they're far more threatening alone and can easily manhandle Sebastian. There's a thoughtful approach to engagement and progression this time around, which means you'll have to think twice about whether or not to engage a group of enemies. Compared to its predecessor's singular levels and unique chapters, The Evil Within 2 possesses a more organic and interconnected set of places to explore, focusing on several large maps with multiple points of interest. Over time, Union grows unstable, turning a small town into a horrifying and unnerving shell of its former self. Streets vertically upend, and fire and blood exude from places they shouldn't. The visual design of The Evil Within 2 successfully juxtaposes vastly different settings and aesthetics, and presents them in a bizarre package that illustrates the erratic and unpredictable nature of the world. Throughout his journey, Sebastian carries a communication device, allowing him to keep track of main objectives along with points of interest and intel on the fates of side characters in the area.
You know how to use the computer to get down there, right? What? You're not going with me? No time. I'm heading to the auto body shop to get some supplies.
How you go about dealing with these characters and exploring is up to you. The Evil Within accommodates those that prefer action, as much as those that like to be stealthy. Combat is robust, thanks to improved weapon handling and character upgrading that allows you to focus on the specific areas of Sebastian's skill set to enhance stealth, combat, and agility. Expanding upon the original's limited crafting with a more comprehensive system, Sebastian can scavenge supplies and other materials to make ammo and health items. While this may seem like it can make things easy, efficient crafting can only be done at dedicated workbenches, whereas crafting in the field should be done as a last resort, as it costs twice as many materials. This crafting element adds a bit of a survivalist feel to The Evil Within 2, where you're scrounging around corners to find materials, all while avoiding packs of enemies looking to pummel you. While there's still plenty of mind-bending and perspective-skewing set pieces, the explorable spaces are the real standout. In many ways, it's like traversing through a demented amusement park filled with hideous creations, forcing yourself to face past horrors. Adventuring to places not marked on the map often yields valuable resources, leading to surprising encounters with obsessive ghosts and multiple unnerving fourth wall breaking events.
That's me from back then.
There's a clear respect for the horror genre in The Evil Within 2 with its many references to classic films and games. The game channels that same style and tone into combat that feels brutal and raw, stealth that has an air of suspense, and confrontations with dangerous creatures that are unsettling. Though there's some occasional technical hiccups that result in some particularly frustrating moments, and some weird pacing issues, this horror sequel elevates the tense and impactful survival horror experience in ways that feel fresh and exciting. The Evil Within 2 doubles down on the core of what makes survival horror titles so great, which is the focus on disempowerment and obstacles, and the ensuing satisfaction that comes from surviving the assault. While what the cerebral horror game does isn't totally new, it does it in a way that feels fresh and engaging. Coming in at a lengthy and surprisingly packed 15-hour campaign, the sequel does an admirable job of ratcheting up the tension and the scares when it needs to, while also giving you the freedom to explore and proceed how you want. It's a tough thing to balance, but The Evil Within 2 does it remarkably well, and in a way that leaves a strong and lasting impression after its touching conclusion.
You look tired, Detective. I can help you get back in shape. Just like before.